to approve the minutes for April 3rd, April 12th, and 17th. Give you a minute to go through them.
Good, I read them, so I will make the motion when anybody's ready to approve the minutes earlier.
Yeah, I'll say.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good. All right, building safety proclamation. All right. Do you want me to synopsize this, or does somebody really want
I'm
to
not
read
gonna read it.
the whole thing?
Somebody wants to read it.
Tony read the long one last time.
Give us the gist, I guess.
He
All right,
did.
so it comes from the International Code Council for Building Safety. They just have asked us if we would proclaim May as Building Safety Month. It's sponsored by the International Code Council, and they just talk about building code saves lives, and the theme for Building Safety Month is to encourage all Americans to raise awareness of the importance of building safe and resilient construction. So they're just asking if we would, the town of Stafford, would make the month of May Building Safety Month.
How do we make that designation known to the people? Is it on the website? Or is it on the building office door?
Well, we have to approve it before we put anything out there, and we can do that, actually. We
Like,
could
do
put it on-
they have materials or something to provide us about?
Dennis is taking it back to the
Mhm.
council, I think.
Dennis is now the president of his CDOA,
Okay.
so he brought it to us to
Sure.
ask if we would do this, and I'm sure there will be some proclamation that we can sign and put out,
Sounds good.
and put it out to everybody.
Then I'll make a motion to accept May is building safety month.
All right, I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Moving on.
Next thing is the bid award for family services for the exterior paint. We had, you can see on page 2, we had 3 people put bids in. These are the bid results. We have a letter from Bruce Davis, he vetted them, he called people that have done it, and he would like to go with Scholar Painting for $17,320. Their bid, I did ask him, because the others say new shutters they added. His bid included the shutters. And the contractor said that he could start the last week of May, weather permitting.
There were a couple of repair issues on the building. Are they handling those pieces, or is that Bruce handling those
Do you have
pieces
the bids? I'm sorry.
before that gets done? I knew we had some collaborative issues.
I have no clue. This is just for the painting of it. It includes the painting and the new shutters.
It says wood siding, trim, spindles, railings, metal gutters, entry doors, porch floor, stairs, metal vent boxes, frames only.
Who's writing the contract? And Bruce is excellent, so I would assume he's gonna take into account if all of a sudden we've got a rotten area that's gotta be replaced.
I'm sure.
That's unbeknownst to these folks for you. Are there abilities for them to have add-ons?
I'm sure there's always change orders and
Right.
things, but he called some people that have used these people.
Yep.
And they did not have, a huge amount of change orders. He was concerned because of the difference in the price
Yep.
of all of them. So he double and triple checked, and this is who he recommends we go with.
It's pretty
He's
amazing.
done this many times.
I would imagine he knows if there's
He has
anything
done it
else.
many
Yeah,
times.
absolutely trust him. That's a pretty impressive price with shutters added to the cost.
We have all of
Well,
the bids here, but he did call and ask different people that have used him to see. That's what can we do? That's the best we can do.
no, I absolutely trust him. I just was, who's writing the contract? Is it Bruce himself or town attorney or?
Mhm.
Okay.
The same way as it's been done forever. I'm sure you've signed these for people to do this, and so it's the same contract.
Yeah,
It's status quo on what we do.
there were a couple of surprises in the last project that had to do with the transfer station. That's my concern. So
It
just
wasn't
making
really
it known.
no.
Yeah. That was think that's a different kind of project, though.
Good. Yeah, it's just
That's
another project.
Cement in,
And it happens.
So, again, as long as it's cared for, I'm great.
I'm good with it. I'll make a motion to accept it.
I will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
The next thing we have is, this is John's thing, the approval of a Riverwalk in
Riverwalk.
Hyde Park.
Yes. So, we made it through the Hyde Park Commission, we made it through the zoning board, we made it through the Inland Wetlands Commission. So our last stop on the train is here at the Board of Selectmen.
So I think I recall the discussion regarding, the original idea was to use town employees.
Yep.
Either from, I assume DPW, and I voiced my concern at the time. And so at that point, you changed your mind, and we're gonna try to solicit donations and things, I think, for that work.
No.
So, I guess I'll have to go back to that meeting, because clearly that was my understanding that we were either gonna quantify what the cost was, and/or we're gonna come up with a solution that was an alternate.
Right. So here's the bottom line. It will
Yep.
cost the town nothing but possibly labor. Now, if Rick is too busy,
Yep,
then we'll go outside and look for volunteers. We're not asking for any money from the town, bottom line.
no, I didn't assume that to be true. The labor was the issue, which is real money, right? And it's real time we pay those folks, right? So, again, I'm only asking because I know we're all fiscally responsible. So we've got we're down a couple of bodies out of DPW currently. And then, how are you gonna determine, are they available, not available? Is it busy? Do we have an
We have a-
emergency?
We have a DPW director.
Yeah,
He will tell me if he's available or not.
so he's going directly to you as the advisory chairman, or
He'll
this is
come,
a
he's
selectman,
gonna
or-
come to our next meeting and we'll discuss with him the options that we have.
Oh, I'm sorry. So, is it Mary that's deciding, or your advisory committee, or? I'm
To
just
what,
trying
move
to-
forward with this?
If Rick Zulik is gonna have a determination of when this can be done,
The
I
Board of
assume-
Selectmen is gonna decide right now if we're gonna push this forward or not.
Well, I understand that.
Right.
He just said he'll come to you and your committee to discuss his ability to do it. And I'm only asking you,
Really, Tony?
is that not Mary's responsibility?
You
Are
got me
these
about
easy questions or
2
not?
minutes from my head splitting open here.
That was
Look.
fast, John.
You didn't
First
seem
of
to
all,
have a problem to have workers clean out a house down on Route 19.
Town property.
Right.
We had to
And-
take
and this
over that
is town
property.
property also.
Right,
This is
but
to benefit the people of the town. They asked for this.
Right, but this isn't a safety concern? Isn't it a liability issue?
what is the problem with a walking trail down on Hyde Park? It fits into the plan of conservation and development. I had the town grant writer and the marketer write this up today.
Yeah.
She is waiting, she's been waiting to get a grant for this walking trail, so I
Right.
don't understand.
So I
don't
guess
get your
So it-
hesitation here. I
maybe
just
I'm
don't
being,
get it.
maybe I'm being confusing on the fact I'm concerned with the expenditure for DPW labor costs and DPW workers when we're already too short laborers. That's my concern. I don't care
Look,
about
if
the
he doesn't
trail
have
or
the
anything
time to
else.
do it, he
It's a
won't do it.
terrific idea.
Right, that's
I
all
don't
it
get
is.
the-
That's all
get
that's all I'm
hesitation.
asking. I'm asking a pretty simple question. Right? I'm just asking.
You're just trying to make it difficult like you have been
John,
for
you
the
can
last 6 months.
presume all you want.
All right, whatever.
If you wanna try to figure
Tony.
out what I'm thinking, by all means.
If you don't wanna vote for this, don't. It's fine.
Wow.
We have a great group of people that have worked
Terrific,
very
Ruben. It's
hard.
a tremendous idea. I never argued that point, ever.
Right.
I am
So
only
what is the
voicing my
problem?
concerns about using
And if it's a
DPW.
concern, we won't use them.
That's all I'm doing. I'm not
Okay.
gonna
And
answer.
that's what he said.
There you go. I asked a question.
So-
you
But
gave
if
an
Rick
answer.
has the available manpower to do this, then we're gonna use them.
I got it.
Okay,
I
so
asked the
what's the
question.
problem?
And apparently
You
that
gave me
road
the
comes-
answer, I asked the question, so there is no problem, John. Why are you losing your head? My goodness.
Because that's what you do.
Oh,
You push my buttons.
I'm asking a question, pretty simple question, which you've asked
Pretty funny, huh,
before.
Diane?
You've asked before. Wow, John.
You know, I'm really, you know what? And
Holy
I'm
cow.
gonna start to go off here because between Diane and yourself.
What did Diane do?
Well, I got a map
This is a
done.
public meeting,
I-
and you're acting like someone who cannot
You
control
can't talk.
themselves.
Hey,
And
hey,
I know I
you
can't, but
can't
you
talk.
voted into office
You
and you're
can't talk. Hey,
professional. So pull
hey,
it together.
hey, you can't talk. Sorry.
You're going around my back asking about if I had to pay Dave to do a map. Just come to me and ask me. I did not pay Dave, he did it out of goodness of his heart. Some people do that.
You addressing me? I'm sorry.
I'm addressing both of you.
I don't know
Because I'm not
anything
sure
about-
which one of you is
I don't know anything
going
about the
behind
map.
my back. You asked me, did the Inland Wetlands Commission vote on it? I'm sure what you were thinking was I went to my Uncle Barry and I said, oh, let's push this through. And that's not the case.
My only question, John, very simple, was about the labor. That's it, the cost
Fine.
of the labor.
Fine,
You
John.
said it doesn't
So-
cost us anything, but it's a labor cost.
So I would like to
Right.
know, we set up a citizens advisory. You set up a citizens
Certainly.
advisory
I
committee.
certainly did, yeah.
It had worked, it's worked
Worked
very well
flawlessly.
It's
for
tremendous.
2 years.
Tremendous
So we
group.
get people that get together and they volunteer their time.
Yeah.
And they wanna come forward, and I know that's all you're asking. You're not trying to cause a problem.
I'm just asking.
I know
a
that.
labor question.
You're just trying to ask about labor. So these people volunteer their time.
Yep.
And I really don't even know, I've never even been to one of the committees, so they volunteer their time, they come up, they do all this work, they're asked to jump through hoops.
Yep.
And they did all of that. So he just said to you that if they cannot man doing the work on it
Yep.
for right now, they will wait until the town can have some of the people
Right.
do it.
And I said, okay. I was all done. I was
Okay.
all done. I said,
That's
okay.
good. So, do we have a
Fine,
motion?
I
let's
said
just move
okay.
on. Let's move on before I lose my mind even more.
I'm sorry, I'm pretty sure I said okay. I asked a question, you gave me an answer, and that was it.
I
I won't make the motion because it's my idea, so I'll let somebody else make the motion.
You can make the motion,
You're
Mary.
not gonna do it, huh? Okay,
It's not my thing.
I make a motion that we approve the Riverwalk in Hyde Park.
I will second that motion. So
All
nice idea.
in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Perfect. That's a one.
No.
All right, we move on to the facility use permit. We've brought this up before. It's been a long time coming. It's worked, I wanna say it was in effect before Tony took office. Beth has been working on this, I believe, with Chris Wardrobe for probably 6 years. You started it, I know you did, so we're gonna move forward with it. You had questions last time?
Yeah, we had to obviously delve into it when we had the
Sure.
unfortunate circumstance at the Blues Fest, so.
Well, we should have delved into it way before.
Oh, we should have, absolutely
Because
right.
it's just been a long time coming.
This is true.
So, I also have worked with the director of, I know you had questions last time. We all know we need to go forward with this.
Yes,
You had questions last time about risks. Did you see what? It should be the second, no, that's not it. The second page in. The director of the community center and myself, we sat and we tried to figure guidelines. Do you not have it?
No.
I'll share it with you.
no,
For the, use of the town facilities and for liability insurance.
yep,
This is something that we came up that might be an easy guideline. It's not anything that is going to be, it's just something, a guideline that we can go by. So if
Uh-huh.
somebody says, you had said, what happens if you use, for example, Diane, you said your cousin, her little group that uses Memorial Hall. Why would they have to have liability insurance for that? So we
yeah, like,
tried to break it down.
right,
And speaking with Cheryl, she is one of them that uses the building frequently, like up at the community center. So
Yep.
we tried to disseminate, if somebody's having a book reading or a poetry reading,
Yep.
do they really need liability insurance?
Yep.
Probably not. What we have is a facility use form that anybody that wants to use any town property will have to come, which we kind of have now. They've had to come in and sign up for what they wanted to use it,
yeah, for
like this.
those items, right.
For any of the offices, and it holds
Yep.
the town harmless in case of a problem.
Right.
So in small instances like this will probably be good enough.
Okay, this,
This form here, because it's a whole facility use form.
Yep.
It's like a permit,
okay,
and I want to
It's
explain
just
about
a-
the other thing. Yeah, but that's, yes, I have to explain that. I
Yeah.
want to explain that to see if we want to
Oh.
do that. I've spoken with USI Insurance multiple times.
Okay.
So, this permit, it will, for small or low risk
Yep.
events, it can hold the town harmless. Anybody that wants to use any town property for any reason is gonna have to come in and use the facility use permit, sign it. Just so that we know who's on town property, what they're doing. Somebody uses Memorial Hall, they have to come and sign in with that anyway.
Yep.
If somebody uses, Heritage Park, same as you, like down in, Haymarket Common, somebody that is,
Is that one of
Did you
the,
did you
No.
not get the phone?
it's, I don't know, it's, I'm just wondering, I know we had like 8 or 7 locations.
Yes.
Now, have we expanded the locations?
No.
Oh, we have.
So, like Haymarket, the farmer's market.
Yep.
So,
Haymarket's gonna
have-
be one of them?
yes, yes, because that's, here, let me give you
I think it was 9 copies.
that.
No, that's the other stuff. I think maybe this is it.
Okay, so
So
anyway,
Haymarket's
so
been
Haymarket
added.
Common or Haymarket Square,
Yep.
because of the farmer's market,
Yep.
where you have them put liability insurance.
Mhm.
So anyway, so we've added these. Anybody that wants to come in and use a town property, just like at the school, I talked to the athletic director and the rec director for the town.
Yep.
Anything that gets used, they have to have liability insurance. So, it is foolish for us to think that any large events that are done on town property, that
Yep.
we don't have to have people, have liability insurance.
Well, yeah, totally makes sense, large
So,
events. I guess
Okay,
it's the smaller, low risk.
absolutely.
So
They
again,
still have
let's
to
use
come
the-
in.
Well, I get that, but so do they have to, let's say it's a group of 12 people, right? It's a, whatever it is, a hat making group, right? They're gonna be in the Haymarket. Do those people, we want them to sign on the permit, no doubt.
Sure.
Do they have to purchase liability to do their thing?
So what, and this is why we're discussing it tonight. I think that some of these, if it's a low risk,
Mhm.
I mean, I think we can all agree it's not a risk, really.
Yep.
So, as it moves up in
Yep.
risk, this is only my suggestion. Do you want anybody that we think is possibly a risk to come before the Board of Selectmen? I think it's a good idea, because we have it on here at the sole discretion, that they can come
Yep.
to us. So I don't know if we want them to come before us, and then we can make a determination as a group what we think is a risk.
Yeah,
Low risk, no. Anything that goes up, we can.
right,
So that was one thing. Let me just explain the other policy that I have,
okay.
and then we can discuss it, if you want to do that.
What is this, the tulip thing? or-
Yes, I've been on the phone with our insurance carrier
Yes.
frequently to
Okay.
find out what is a risk, what is not a risk, what we need to do, and what we don't. So, and it's in,
It's that one?
yeah, it starts on the other page.
Okay.
So when I spoke to Jill from USI Insurance, and I have her email here, I asked her she had mentioned a couple months ago about a tulip program.
Okay.
What it is, our insurance carrier has this policy and other towns use it. We have travelers insurance. It gives people that want to take liability insurance out for using any of our town properties
Mhm.
to go through our insurance carrier. It's called the Tulip Property,
Mhm.
the Tenant Use Liability Insurance Policy. A lot of towns use it, I'm sure you must have heard about it. And what it does, you can get in and they can purchase one-day event insurance
Okay.
through our carrier.
Mhm.
We put a link online.
Yep.
And they can get on there, and there will be a code for each one of our town
Buildings,
entities
yeah.
that we wanna rent out,
Okay.
so to say.
Mhm.
And they can click on that, they answer questions about what their event is going to be.
Yep.
What they're gonna have, are you having alcohol there, how many people, and all this and that.
Right.
And then you can get a quote and you can pay right there. It's for people that aren't a business
Okay.
that can do this.
So it's kind of like a sliding scale for use, depending on volume, alcohol, whatever else.
Yes, and from what she said, it is a lot cheaper than having them have to go out to a different insurance carrier to
Yeah.
get insurance.
Okay.
Imagine, yeah.
Makes sense.
So,
How about, again, I'm sorry. How about in the case where, and somebody brought me this question, I'm like, I didn't even think of this, are you kidding? So it's prom time, everybody goes to the gazebo,
mhm.
right? 200 people there. We know the date, we know the event, nobody's really in charge, is that just a, we may have a concern because of nothing cars and the amount of volume. Again, it's an obscure thing, but I'm like, ah, geez, I never thought of that, but,
So what is your thought on
well,
that?
I don't know how we handle it. You know, are we okay? And I would imagine Chris or Jill would say, well, in that event, you're covered with the town insurance, and really that's how we handle it, because it's not a really organized thing.
It's not an advertised, organized thing. It's
Yep.
just like if I want to take my kids down to the ball field and play baseball.
Sounds good to me.
It
Good.
sounds like if somebody just wants to, you know, go to Hyde Park and,
Right.
Yep.
or the same thing as hiking up around
Okay.
Dennis Pond.
Good.
If somebody has a wedding and they go to the gazebo to take pictures,
Yeah.
there's no way to
It's
stop
when
them.
you're-
Or
I
even
mean-
know that they're gonna do that, right?
True, except for the ones that,
They do call and ask.
They do?
call and ask permission.
They do.
some do, right? Some actually secure it in advance.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
No, that's
So
cool, that's good.
I think that we need to move forward with doing this. Every town around us does this. Actually, in doing research in the different towns around us, not only do they make people purchase liability insurance, they also rent out all of their facilities
Yep.
that they do. We don't do that. That's, I mean,
Right.
I don't know how you feel, but you know what, I don't think we
Talked
need
about
to do that.
over the years.
But if somebody's having concerts or bringing any kind of like people in, also some towns, what they do, if the event that is being brought in
Yep.
requires extra town personnel,
Yep.
they charge them for it. I don't
So
think we wanna do.
we're thinking that if it's small, low risk, that the person will come in, fill out a waiver form.
Everybody has to come in and
Right,
fill out a waiver
they'll
form.
fill out the waiver form and then they're done. They don't need liability, they don't need to go before the Board of Selectmen. I mean, that's
Right,
kind of the
I'm
idea,
thinking
right?
that's-
Yeah, is that, again, I'm
For
not
the small
quite
and
sure.
low
That-
risk?
It sounds like, yeah, we would all kind of agree, but do we
Right.
have to meet and agree? Or do
Well,
we just
that's
say,
what I
well,
think we need to discuss. Do we wanna do that?
Okay.
Or do we want to, if we think that it's something like a medium to low risk,
Mhm.
do we tell them you have to come to a meeting?
Right,
Or is it, you know, I
Okay.
don't know. To
Yeah.
me, that would
There
make
needs to be a
sense.
line there, right? We don't know what that line is.
yeah, right, it's kind of sliding a bit, and there's some kind of assumption with an expert from USI telling us, well, here's where generally it is. So I'm completely for the concept, it's the first time I saw this.
Yes,
So-
because I've been working
Oh,
on it and
okay.
I just,
No, I think it's
I
tremendous.
had
and-
told you last meeting that
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
working on it with Cheryl.
So I think we definitely should do it, there's no doubt
Yeah.
about it. So let's just get the grayness a little bit cleared up as best we can, there's still gonna be circumstances we're not
Sure,
gonna
and this
handle.
is something that we can just use in our office or
Yeah.
for us to determine what we think. And you know, she was great, she tried to put examples, but it's not limited to, so it
Right.
just gives,
Okay.
you know, different things like that.
The facilities listed, are there any others, I'm not even thinking, I'm just kinda looking at them, are there any more that we
Yeah, I
want
mean,
to, or-
we could,
Is the pavilion, even though it's kind of, it's town property, but it's in Hyde Park, how's that handled? You know,
Where?
we charged,
Pavilion?
the amphitheater,
oh,
right? How
oh,
how do we do that?
Well-
Because we had them pay the Hyde Park Commission, I think directly, so that's a quasi-town Hyde Park thing we'd have to kind of address.
so Hyde Park is on here, so you
Yeah.
wanna, you think we should list the,
Yeah, because people come to us just to use that amphitheater, right?
for concerts?
That's part of the park.
Yeah.
Well, if they're coming in,
Or a church function thing, or whatever. But if it's just park in general, then,
So Hyde Park Commission has to approve
anything that goes on right
there,
there.
right?
or not approved.
Or not approved.
That's interesting to me, because,
Well, I do think that the Blues Fest,
yeah,
they did go to the Hyde Park Commission. I think they had to get permission first beforehand, before they could even come and ask for this, so.
it's still a fuzzy area, which we talked about in the historic commission, because it's Hyde Park Commission, but then it's the town as well.
So
How
do
does
we
it-
add the
how does it
amphitheater?
work?
It still would have to go to the Hyde Park Commission.
And that money would go to them, actually, for the use of that. Because the only one now, correct me if I'm wrong, is the pavilion, right? That it costs money?
Memorial Hall, which is.
Memorial Hall.
Memorial
I'm sorry,
Hall.
Memorial Hall.
Because that's part of a trust, so the money all goes into the trust.
So anybody
Yeah.
that uses Memorial Hall
Yep. In the
has to
pavilion,
pay that fee.
the pavilion's just a deposit, or we charge, Stafford Lake, or we charge $50 or
No,
$25?
you never charge.
That's never charged, ever.
Oh, really?
I mean, once we go through with this, maybe we can go through and start doing
Well,
things
before
like
you,
that.
we did talk about imposing some sort of use.
Yeah.
A long time
Right.
ago?
Well, several months ago, we hashed out, when we put a price tag on
We
each
talked
of
about a
these
couple of
things.
years ago as well. It's probably been discussed
I
for
don't
years, because
know.
other towns do.
I know they
do
all
do it.
do,
I have
but,
all, and they
but if we're
charge a
gonna,
lot.
you know, if
Nobody
we're gonna make
wants
them get liability insurance, maybe we don't.
Maybe that's it. So again, so I'm all for concept going forward. Is this, but is this ready today, how it sits for you to, you wanna vote
I
on this today?
I would.
I'm a
I
little.
And-
would think
okay,
we need to move
so-
forward with it, because if there's something going on between now and the
Well,
next
then-
time.
Then I wanna bring something else up, kind of, that has to do with this.
Yeah.
So when I asked Jill from USI Insurance.
Yep.
I asked her like how quickly, because I know there's events coming up on Main Street
Yep.
that want to get done. So I asked how quickly this could move forward.
Okay.
And she said if we had our meeting tonight and it was approved, because I told her I didn't know, that she could get it up and running in 24 hours.
Alright, so again, I've got a couple versions. Which is it? Is it this one? Do you know? And as written, whatever it is, this is the one we're talking about?
Yes, but I don't know why you have,
I don't know. I went to the town website. Yeah,
okay, then don't use,
The one
because we
that
need,
has the tulip language in it. is the-
yeah,
that's the new one?
yes,
Alright, so that one's still good.
yep.
Okay.
And it talks, and I can just tell you, the TULIP program, it provides low-cost general liability insurance to third-party users of
Yep.
venues and events and facilities for events. It protects both the user and the facility against claims by guests who may be injured. Events may range from seminars, receptions and weddings to sporting events and concerts. Your premium quote is based upon the risk associated with the given event or the activity, the number of days coverage is needed, the whole bit. So there's a number of questions that, I don't think there's a lot, it's quick. I actually pulled one off of another town. I think if you're gonna use, well, the use of alcohol on town property, they would have to come before us anyway
Right.
to get approval for, but that, I'm sure, is a question that's on the form, is if you're gonna have sale or use of any alcohol on town property. And
So our sticking
It's-
point is, when do they have to come to us, and when do they actually have to have liability insurance, right?
well,
Yeah.
they have to give us liability insurance before they have approval to go and do the event.
Yeah, but are they at the level they need it? That's the thing we're kind of working on.
Sure.
So we're kind of,
So, my thing is, if it's a smaller low-risk function,
yeah.
it obviously, to me, I don't know, to you, or to John, what do
Yeah.
you think? Do you think it needs?
Well, no, I don't think that, I mean, small things, I would think they could just come and sign up at the Board of Selectmen's office.
Yeah,
And
To
not have
sign that
come-
form,
Not have
right.
to wait for another meeting.
yeah, I think,
I
I
can bring it
But
up.
I don't know, how do you know, they say, okay, it's only gonna be 10 people, next thing you know, 50
100 or
people.
50, right?
But that
Yeah.
happens
You
now.
can't stop that, right? I
No,
mean,
that happens now, and it's calculated risk is how the insurance companies
Yeah.
do it. So,
Right, but
you know,
the low risk doesn't require the liability, right?
Right, so,
They sign a waiver.
right,
Right.
so did they, so here's my question, and I'm all for the potential approval. I'm hesitant tonight to approve, only because there's a lot of questions. And one is,
What's
as
the
John- as
question?
John described, let's say somebody comes in and they think it's 15 people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or they know it's, they tell us it's 15 people. Lo and behold, though, they know because they've seen the new ruling, 100 people show, they didn't have to buy liability insurance,
Mhm.
they just say, hey, somebody showed, what happens then?
look, somebody's gonna come to us, like they do all the time,
Yeah.
and say, can I use Memorial Hall because I'm having blah, blah, blah?
Yep,
Or I wanna go, Cheryl is she wants to be on board with everything, so both what she has to rent out to people and what we use
Yep.
we're on board. I don't think that, I mean, I think people that are coming in are, you know, are you having alcohol on the property? No. Do people bring alcohol right now into Memorial Hall when they're there?
Probably.
Yeah,
So, I mean,
the problem is right.
This has been just gone
Yeah.
around for so long, we cannot wait. We've been made people wait to do this, and
And if we realize it's a problem, things can always be adjusted.
Right,
That's
right,
I don't
We
want
have
to.
to-
I'm on board there, Mary. I think we need to do something
Nope,
now,
we
so
need
that
to go
anything from now until, you know,
We
we decide
actually
we wanna
already,
modify
I mean, we're
this.
not being,
Right, I think now you kind of have some in place,
You
technically.
can always vet it through the insurance
Right.
company as well, if you're
Right.
not sure.
That's
So,
right.
I would like,
you wanna wait again.
I only want to
So
wait
then
till the
none of
next
the-
meeting, but right now you handle, people coming to your office specifically with the draft. And you have basically, one you can write for the town, and USI can write it for that particular event. I don't think 2 weeks.
That's not me that's gonna do that. Those are whoever is having a function
Yep.
that we calculate is a medium, low risk,
Right,
which has to come.
Yep.
It's an event, is heavily advertised.
Yep.
That's clearly in here, medium, high, up to high. They are gonna have to have liability insurance. It's
Right.
crazy for us not to do that.
right.
We also have an ordinance that talks about, I don't know if you know about the ordinance, that talks about already, people that wanna sell things on town property, people that wanna do anything like that. It says right in our town ordinance that was passed by the public, that they are supposed to have liability insurance. So I see that this is only in addition to it, and I do not think that we should wait any longer to push this forward. We already have, and that's what I was gonna bring up, and I did bring this tonight. We had somebody that came in, they filled out a use form.
Mhm.
They brought their liability insurance,
Yep.
because they wanna sell flowers down in, Haymarket?
Yeah.
Is that down here?
Yeah.
Yeah, they wanna sell. So they had no problem doing this. They brought me the form
Yep.
today, they dropped it off. Now this, do I think it probably needed liability? No, but they had it on their
Right.
business, so they brought it in here. So,
So you can handle cases now, currently.
no, this is not approved or anything. This was just brought in today because they wanna go forward with something. We're not doing anything with it right now. We have a form. The problem is, we have people that don't think they need liability insurance. So we need to move forward with having liability insurance for any events, I think, that go on.
Right, like Beth
Yeah, I
said,
don't disagree.
we can modify that.
He
I don't
doesn't
disagree.
disagree, he doesn't disagree.
I know, I don't disagree at all.
Mhm.
That's why I brought the
And I
thing up
know you
after
had
the Blues
started it, and
Fest,
that's
so.
why, yes.
Yeah, but no, the fact is, as you just described, this is the first time me seeing this, so
Of
I'm like,
course.
alright, so how?
So this we can tweak, this is not going out there, this we can tweak at some point, but right now, we need to move forward to have people that wanna have events
Mhm.
have liability.
But doesn't this document have bearing on them having to have
It
this
could,
document?
it could not, somebody could come in with something totally different, and we are gonna, that's not on this form, that we're gonna have to figure out what goes on. So, John, do you have any questions with it?
No, not now. I think we have to go forward,
And I
and
think
and
it's-
if we need to revisit it, we'll revisit it.
And I do not mind contacting the insurance company. It will be on our website, so that people that need to purchase the insurance, that aren't a business, can get on and they can purchase the one-day event insurance through here.
Well, I will
It's
make
been
I will
discussed.
make a motion to move this forward and have them add it into the, put this on the website, get the link up and running, and we can always tweak it. If it needs to
This
be.
is what, yeah.
If something
But the
comes up that
form, to
doesn't
have
make
people
sense,
that
then
have to
we'll-
have the liability. What are you thinking, Tony?
I'm thinking, I think we can approve events currently like we have in the past. And 2 weeks for me to be able to go through this thing, I don't think it's a big deal, that's what I would like, I'm a little concerned because it's the first time seeing it.
Sure.
And this has bearing on this.
I
as you-
second
as
the
you said.
motion.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Nay.
Okay. And now you can have some time to,
Well, no, I haven't,
Look
We
thanks.
can
forward
still
to that.
change it.
that's not any bearing on it, other than you can't think of every single event, it's about the insurance, really. So, what do we wanna do, we'll just take this and I will work on.
Can I have this one?
Yeah, you didn't have that in your
No,
packet?
I don't.
Of course.
So do we need to approve this one tonight?
It's to sell flowers at Haymarket, I would say that's a low risk, but I don't know what you guys think about that. So.
When is that?
He has insurance anyway, it's May 11th, I guess.
Mother's Day?
He's a business,
Mother's Day weekend? Is that?
so he already has business liability,
Right,
and he's using
which
the
I'm sure he
Haymarket?
doesn't need it, yeah, he just, I don't know why he brought it in.
Town's
I wasn't
listed
there.
as an additional insured because it's on town property.
Right, and that's what they need to do, so.
It's on what, Mother's Day?
Oh,
When is Mother's Day?
11th, that's the weekend, right? That's Mother's Day weekend, it's next weekend.
Yeah,
Is that right?
I think he put something about Arts on Main, or something about Arts on Main.
let's see, May 11th, 6 to 8 PM, oh yeah, during Arts on Main.
Oh, it's a Friday night?
Yeah, it must be,
He's got insurance, right? I think it's a no-brainer.
Okay.
Yep.
So we have to vote on that?
um,
It has to be
We
approved
have
by
to
the Board of
vote on
Selectmen, right? That's how all these
Well,
potential, isn't that what
I
it?
thought we just had the discussion, if it's low, we don't, but,
Yeah,
okay,
I
then
mean-
do you
Is
wanna
that
make a
what that said?
motion?
I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah, I mean, the low
Doesn't
risk
need
ones
approval?
are technically can be done by the selectman's office, I guess, but
Go ahead.
I'll make a motion to approve that.
Yeah, I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Alrighty,
Whatever.
alright, where's my agenda? Alright, we have a discussion of adopting a code of ethics. This was brought up, I wanna say, one of the first few meetings that, we had here. And, actually Beth received an email from one of our resident taxpayers, and he would like to discuss, the creation of a code of ethics, for a commission. I don't know. Do you want me to read the letter, or?
I think I have, is this it?
Yes, that's it right there. So, that said, Dave Palmberg is here. Would you like to discuss what you?
Dave, you're talking about building a commission to put
Yes.
together like a document?
Yes, for the record, Dave Palmberg, 45 Greaves Road. December or so, I attended a board meeting and I had requested during open comment for the board to consider adopting an ethics policy. I'm here again, a little more formal. I had submitted a letter asking to be put on the agenda, or for the item to be put on the agenda for the initiation of the following, to create an ethics policy to be incorporated into the town ordinances, and to create an ethics commission or committee to hear, review, and evaluate complaints against elected or appointed officials. I feel that that committee or commission can serve as a critical link between the town residents and the appointed and elected officials. I strongly believe this is needed to maintain integrity as well as public confidence in our town officials. Through research, I've found that ethics policies have been adopted by many of the towns around us. Ellington, Somers, Towland, East Windsor, as well as many other towns throughout the state. And our own Board of Education here in the town of Stafford has their own Board of Ethics, Code of Ethics, or policy. Some of the items that I think should be addressed within this policy are standards of conduct for officials, such as conflicts of interest, disclosure of confidential information, gifts and favors, use of town assets, properties, equipment, funds, etc., representation of private interests, use of influence, fair and foul treatment, which is a policy that all residents and other town officials or appointed officials get treated fairly and respectfully. I feel it's best for the town now to be proactive on this. Our Board of Education has a policy. All our neighboring towns, for the most part, have a policy. I don't think, I don't see why anybody would object to developing such a policy. I don't know how you wanna do it, if you wanna, figure it out amongst yourselves, or maybe reach out to the, town labor attorney. I'm sure there's framework for policies. I have given you, policies for 2 towns. I have additional policies here. I have the Board of Education policy here that I will leave copies. I attached a copy of each with a letter, but I have other copies I'll be happy to provide now or email later. Framework, examples of how other towns, they're pretty similar. The issues they address and the procedures to address any complaints that come up. I would just rather see the town be proactive in this.
What are some of the complaints that you've heard from other towns or that you've seen? Have you found any that?
Fair treatment of residents, treatment of staff. There's plenty of information available from East Windsor had a serious issue, and I think they may not have even had the policy in place before that, or when it started, when the issue started. But it was a pretty significant thing there between town staff and one of the selectmen, as well as residents in the selectmen.
So the Board of Ed, is there ethics, is it for the board members?
It's for the board members.
For any elected members or?
Well, it's for the Board of Education. They have their own policy, and I understand it, I really get it. The Board of Education is separate. I mean, they have a specific mission towards the students of the town of Stafford, and the educational goals and conduct and so forth. I totally get that a specific policy for that board is justified. I think for the rest of the boards, commissions, and elected officials, I think a general policy like other towns have done would cover things. And I think it gives residents reassurance that there's mechanisms in place. Should something happen, I hope to God it's never used, but should something happen, that there's a procedure in place to address such issues. And I really don't see why anybody would be opposed to such an idea, but again, I'm presenting it a little more formally this time. I'll be happy to share any of the research I've done with any of the board members.
Do you know how the other towns did it? Did they put a committee together to kind of put an outline together, or?
I think it's mixed. I don't know for sure. I think it's mixed. Some of the towns have human resource departments, which may have helped in that.
Right.
But I know of at least one town that had a committee work on it and make a proposal to the Board of Selectmen. But, I think maybe you could, like I said, maybe you could reach out to the town attorney. There may be something in place, and using information from other towns, maybe, without spending a lot of time and money.
Right.
You could get something in place, and if it needs to be modified after, it gets modified. So, I just wanted to come here tonight and explain it a little more, and I appreciate you all listening to me.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Dick.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think
makes
so.
sense, just similar to.
I gotta sign one every year from where I work,
Do
I
you
know that. Yep.
Yeah, I know we have.
Ethical behavior of.
It's called code of conduct, yeah, I mean, you
Right.
gotta
Right,
use.
employees are covered by the employee handbook, there's a code of conduct.
Yeah, we have
within
one for
the-
the
But not
town.
elected
But not
officials.
elected or appointed officials.
Yeah. No, it's a great idea, because I think certainly there's kind of a gap there for us to follow, similar to a facility use, which we hadn't had in place, like other towns may have. Would it also include, I guess we could adjust it as such, would it include advisory folks as well, and any kind of,
Well, I think anybody serving in any capacity on behalf of the town, I mean,
Okay.
if, I don't see it on an advisory committee, I don't think there's gonna be,
Well, they can't speak for
well,
the
but
town.
again, like I
really.
said, though,
They
it could be a
advise
heated,
different
yeah, it
boards,
could be a
so-
heated discussion from all of a sudden the person comes in, it's public comment, and
Right,
whatever
right.
happens, this
Mhm.
is a person now who's been appointed, even though it's advisory, and now we got a major blow up here out of nowhere, which could happen anytime.
Mhm.
Right.
Likewise, though, it
Of
would,
course.
I
But I think it
haven't,
goes beyond.
I haven't seen an instance in this town where of abuse of treating somebody unfairly,
Mhm.
or, saying, well, I know so-and-so, I've never heard about it,
Yeah.
never seen it. I've heard about it in other places,
Sure.
so, but, again, you know,
Right,
there's nothing in place, and like I said, I hope nothing ever has to be used, but why not have a policy in
Right,
place?
right.
There, you know, there could be one bad apple, and that's it.
yeah.
Mhm.
So the option, there's a few options. One, kind of look at a couple surrounding towns. I guess you provided, Beth's got some examples
Yeah.
of towns that kind of put it together depending on how it's
Did you-
crafted.
Did
Some
you
have
email
done
them?
committees or
Can
commissions.
you forward them to us?
Yeah, I'll leave some hard copies
Yep.
with Beth tonight, and I will email you
Okay,
That's cool.
PDFs, and then so it's easier for you to share.
okay.
Yep, that makes sense. Good job, Dave. Where you work in Rocky Hill, they have it's not just employee code of ethics? Where you work in Rocky Hill, it's just not an employee code of ethics, they have one for elected officials?
It's a specific one for appointed and elected officials.
Okay.
So do they have separate ones?
Yes.
Okay,
Okay, because I just read this, the Town of Rocky Hill Code of Ethics is for the Board of Selectmen to review and use as guidance. So they have one for, like, they've done different codes of ethic for elected officials, for appointed officials.
Right, well, I mean,
guess that would
generally
go
every
into
town
what you
has,
said.
has employee,
Mhm.
guidelines or handbooks or policies. And then other towns have either selectman form of government or town manager form of government. Town manager form of government, you end up with more committees and subcommittees and, you know, you have a town council, you know, a mayor, or town manager's an employee.
Sure.
But all the, you know, you have a lot more, things, and it's really, it's, you know, it's another, method of transparency because, you know, there's no reason to be opposed to it.
Right.
yeah,
You know, Rich is here, I know there had been, I spoke to Rich, earlier, in doing some research, because I know this had come up in the past. I'm not sure if it was under Alan Bakayaki, when he was selectman, or I'm not quite sure the date and what was discussed. And I think it was an issue with the Board of Education. They didn't want a separate, they wanted to maintain their policy
Oh.
that they had and not have to adhere to this other, which,
Yep.
as I explained, I agree with, because they have a educational mission,
Sure.
whereas it's
Yeah.
a
And they
different
have
thing.
kids
So,
and they have.
I don't know if it's okay to ask Rich if there's anything he could add.
Yeah, I don't recall the exact dates. I know it went to a town meeting, and it was turned down at a town meeting. But what I wanted to add to what Dave has already given you is, don't forget about CCM. They've got a lot of research, a lot of resources,
I
and
already
they
discussed
may
that with
already
them.
have a package up there for this.
Yep.
With model ordinances.
right, it's already kind of put together. Good,
So I will leave some information with
Thank you.
Beth, and like I said, I appreciate you hearing me out again, and hopefully we can move forward, or I'm gonna ask to be on the agenda again.
So anything we do is gotta go to a town meeting, right?
Oh, yeah. It would be
Yeah.
it would be a new ordinance.
We have to try
so
to
we-
figure out.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I understand it does, you know, you need to.
It does.
You know, you need to do your own research, develop it however you want,
Right, right.
but I would just like to see, you know, something happen.
great.
All right,
Right.
thanks, Dave.
Thank you very much. All right, public comment? Mr. Squire?
Steve Squire, 52 Hyattville Road. I just want to point out that I've been to a couple of selectmen's meetings, and the conversation is shut off before the public can have their comment. I think it's backwards, like that. For example, why were they allowed to give a presentation, and I wanted to give a presentation tonight, and I'm not allowed to?
He was on the agenda,
Well,
and
didn't I ask you to put about the insurance on the agenda a couple weeks ago?
who called you about putting the insurance on the agenda? We had a huge agenda, and
By
I'm
the
sorry
way,
I'm answering you.
I'm happy with the compromise. I'm not saying
Absolutely,
that.
no, I understand that.
What my complaint is about public comment being after the fact that you vote. So you vote on something and then you ask for public comment? To me, it seems
That's
backwards.
very
Well, that would-
funny.
Well, that would mean we'd have to put public comment after each,
Right,
before each thing, right?
and that's where it
Well,
wasn't.
maybe you should. I think you should. It's always been like that, except for one other selectman, first selectman.
Who would that be?
I don't have to say names.
So then, John,
Yeah,
Tony? I don't have a problem with
It needs
moving
to
public
fit-
comment. It was actually moved and I put it down because I
Yeah.
thought it would be better
But I'm
underneath
just-
everything. So, whatever. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think they can discuss, those items, because they, let's say they have a couple days to get notice of the agenda, and maybe they're
Sure.
like, hey, I'd like to talk about the facility use permit. So give them the opportunity at the beginning.
And I will tell you that this is totally my fault because it was at the beginning. And I thought it would be better afterwards to discuss it. So we can move it up there and
Yeah.
it was not done for any reason
So
other
you think
than.
move public comment up?
Sure, we can put it
I
wherever.
think that's an unintended consequence
Yeah, yeah.
of something that has changed.
Mhm.
Okay,
Absolutely.
yeah, I can
I don't have a
understand.
problem with that.
Okay, so we're not gonna put public comment, then discuss, then public comment, then discuss.
No, I think
No.
you just put it
Put
in.
one
No,
public
we'll put
comment
it
in the front-
first
in
if
front,
anybody wants to
and-
talk about what we're doing and then we can go
Okay.
on. Not a problem with that at all.
No, not at all.
Thank you.
That's fine.
You're welcome.
Steve Squire, we got your name.
All right. That actually makes sense.
Mr. Palmberg.
Yeah, I'd like to address a comment that came up earlier in the meeting regarding a survey I had done for Hyde Park. When I had my own business, I surveyed Hyde Park. I did it because I was a softball coach and was friends with all the other softball coaches, and we were looking to do an addition to for equipment storage, the rear of the bathroom area. So at no charge, why are you winking at me, Diane?
Because you're looking right at me.
At no charge, I did the survey for the town. Now, that plan was used for the approvals going through inland wetlands, the Hyde Park Commission, and planning and zoning for the addition of this equipment storage building. The plan was also used for a district tournament for softball, which brought teams in from, I don't know how many towns, for a week here. And everybody enjoyed Hyde Park, had great comments, and enjoyed downtown and buying ice cream, right? That plan was used for Summerfest, when Summerfest was held down there. That plan was used for the band shell, and Neil Haas, I think Neil's here, when they were seeking approvals from the Hyde Park Commission and so on and so forth. That plan was used for the walking trail project. I want to make it clear to Diane, because apparently somebody had to check with the town treasurer, check with the selectman's office to see if I had gotten paid for doing a survey. Everybody
It
here,
was me,
I
it
did
was
not get
Diane
paid
that
for a survey.
apparently.
I did it out of the goodness of my heart as a resident, a concerned citizen, a proud coach, a proud parent. I did it for the town. And it was fortunate that that was able to be used for so many purposes, and many more, I assume.
God
And
bless
I'll
you.
also throw in the free plan that I do for the fireworks permit every year. So I'm insulted that someone has to go behind John's back, behind your back, behind Tony's back, I guess, and behind my back. You got a question, just ask.
Okay, so we've turned this into a circus that you were always worried about, Mary.
So.
I want to help here, I have some comments to make. Number one, on June 1st, 2006, Alan Bakayaki did bring an ethics thing to the town. It failed 179 to 65, so if you need that information, it's right here. There was a lawyer that talked about the Board of Education's piece in that ethics. In the minutes of the 21st of June 2007, Alan Bakayaki put it forth again. It was supposed to go to a vote. That never really ended up happening. Any of that information is right here if anyone wants to look at it. Is the thing that you're proposing for the town employees to do their handbook any better? Or is it just for the ethics for this new thing for people who are on boards and commissions? Are you gonna still discuss that, right? Yeah,
Are
so
we
it's
making
not,
comments? Yes, he just brought it up tonight. We're gonna be doing
okay,
this.
so that's gonna happen,
Sure.
so.
We don't know if that's happening. We're gonna
Okay,
discuss
there's
it.
also an employee handbook that's been since 2013, and that has not been updated. And I think that that should be updated as well to include issues around sexual harassment that might include supervisors having sexual relations with their employees, and how that fits in as far as giving personal favors, special treatment, added hours, anything like that. There should be something added to town employees who use town vehicles to go to package stores during work time and buy alcohol. And those things are not in the town employee handbook right now, so that would be great if those were added in. Thank you.
Could that be using town computers for illegal and immoral reasons too?
I haven't done that, because I don't work for the town. So you can add that too, yes. And thank you, everyone, for all
Any
the
other
attention tonight. It
comments?
was very exciting.
I
Oh,
do.
we got them. Let's go. Go ahead, Gordy.
It's not appropriate and not fair for people to pick people out of the audience. It's out of order for a board of commission to do that. People shouldn't come to meetings and be worried about being called out when it's their right to attend the meetings and either make comments or don't make comments. I mean, and Robert's Rules of Order is you don't address other people in the room, you address it to the chair. That's how it works. So, I mean, it's up to you to the first selectman, the chair, to maintain order and that everyone is heard, but yet people aren't embarrassed or singled out. It's not appropriate. So I'm suggesting that you do that and make it more transparent, more fair, and less difficult and less problematic for people to come make comments or just attend.
Sure. Thank you. I do know that, because that did happen to me, right?
What?
At a meeting. Did someone else
No.
have a comment?
Is that baseball?
Hi, Neil.
Neil Haas, Carter Lane. Kind of along Steve's point, that public comment, kind of addressing the facility use permit. As the treasurer, I've been a little bit talking with you on some of the things that are going on.
Yep.
Whether I'm not allowed to or I did talk, but just a couple things with the timing of it all. I kind of agree, this is what we need. My Blues Fest kind of got us in this shape with, 5 years ago, me and Georgia started it. I did talk to Chris, who I knew through the Chamber of Commerce, about did we need insurance then, and he said, no, you're on our property. So now that an event occurred, and if that, I could have misunderstood, but pretty much him and I have talked, and we kind of agreed this is how it was. So I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but just a couple things. I talked with Amber, we had the 300th meeting last Thursday, and I went up and talked to Jody at the cider and kind of said, let me just throw some other comments out that we are Friends of Hyde Park is how we collect the money, so it's not through the town, and then we go to the Hyde Park Commission. So there's another group that kind of pays for the amphitheater and the money comes through us. And I was trying to find a way that we could write the check versus the town sounds like it's gonna write the check if we keep it through Travelers, and then people will reimburse all it. I don't think I need specifics on that, and maybe I'm getting a little off track, but we're trying to find a way to get a low bid for each event in the Travelers. If the one I went through, you would have it switch from Travelers to something else, so I think that's out, but we're still working on a couple bids. For the people that wanna host it, including the Blues Fest, I mean, we're gonna pay whatever it takes and do the Blues Fest, we hope, and bring it to you guys. But for Jody to put on an event, I mean, she's gonna pay the band a certain amount, Jody that runs the cidery, she's gonna pay the band $350 to $500, and then there's gonna be an additional insurance. And, can she keep doing that, bringing people to our town? Just wanna make sure that gets put into the equation. It sounded like Tony might have saw this list for the first time right now of under 50, no tickets sold. We're over 100 with tickets sold, we know we have to do it. I think Jody's in that gray area, so I'm just making the comment that it would have been nice to add, but since you voted it, I agree we need it. But just before in 2 weeks, if we can get everybody's feedback onto that, on some of the other options, because I had put a few calls out to one guy from Travelers, another guy that insures me. I'm all for it if Travelers can do it, and it's, the 150 per event seemed to be what I was hearing, and I don't know, I didn't get back to Mary on this, but just a little bit of, it got brought up, it got voted on, and I only was here because I saw something yesterday. I didn't know I had to have too much information ready tonight either, so we're working on it as the Blues Fest that probably caused some of this, or all of it, or however it's looked at. I have responsibility in me that we know the town of Stafford isn't getting sued so much as Stafford's insurance is getting sued, and then they're gonna not go out of business, they're gonna raise the rates and all that, so I know for the next few events, if they're small and they're a book reading, hopefully people can do that and still afford it. If it's the biggest event in town, if we put on Led Zeppelin in the concert, we're gonna have a higher risk, and we know we had to pay for it, so just before the next meeting, if we can just make sure people that want to get feedback to that, that's the public comment from me.
Thank you.
Okay?
People can go and get whatever insurance they want to get. They don't have to go through the TULIP program. They don't have to go through Travelers. People can get insurance on their own. People can feel free to do that as they want. Any more comments? Yes?
I'll just kind of chime in on what Neil said. Back when they first started the Blues Fest, we did check with Chris. And because it was a quasi-town function sponsoring it, he said that we didn't need any special insurance at the time. Obviously, things have changed.
Yeah.
But on that use policy, under my administration, was anybody who was selling a product, Zumba classes, anything like that where they were charging people to come to an event, we charged them the facility use at the Memorial Hall and made them provide insurance.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Thank you. Yes?
Tyler Roberts, 27 Stafford Street. Now that the dust has settled, I just wanted to put my input on the Code of Ethics or, Commission of Ethics. I think that's a great idea. Other towns do it. I've spoke with the state's attorney, and one of their correspondents said that every town, except for Stafford, has some sort of Code of Ethics, which makes the town and elected officials and anybody that's involved, whether it be a advisory commission board member or the janitor at the Stafford High School, everybody gets treated the same, and it makes the town more efficient. I just wanted to say that. I saw there was a gunfight over that. I just think it's a great idea. I think it's not going to happen overnight. It needs to be deliberated, but great idea.
Thank you.
Tom Carter, 54 Wellington Ave. I work for the federal government, and we deal with contracts, etc. There is extensive classes on ethics. This is not virgin territory, so to speak. I'll let our other towns incorporate this with their policies and procedures. I don't see any reason why there should be any resistance to this at all.
Yeah, I don't think it has it.
Thank you. Yes.
Andra Smith, 8 East Street. I'm an attorney for a 500-plus company, and actually what I do day in, day out is manage risk through contracts and through insurance. So if there is anything that you're deliberating over the next 2 weeks that you're trying to figure out, I'm very happy to offer my pro bono services to the town. If you're trying to figure out, okay, how do we balance the low, no-risk people that just need to sign a form versus what's sort of in the middle, what's high risk, and also sort of the various types of insurance that people can get. Like I said, this is literally my wheelhouse. It's what I do, and I'm really happy to help. I just don't want to get yelled at by anyone. I deal with that at work enough, so I'm happy to help if you need me. I think a lot of, like, Tony has my email. So you can just feel free to shoot me an email if you're working through anything and something doesn't make sense. I'm more than happy to help.
Thank you very much. Sure.
Anyway, pretend like we should use it. Pay it off.
Anybody else? All right, we have some appointments. All right, who's up to do that? John? Tony?
I'll read them, John. You want me to-
All right.
you want me to read
For a
them?
while.
Appointments. Energy Advisory. Stepping out, I'm gonna make sure this is all recorded. Everybody good? Energy Advisory Committee, David Moulton, 2-year term to expire 3/1/2020. Agricultural Advisory Commission, Myron R. Avery Sr., Carl Milikowski, Donald Bradley. Alternate members, Bruce Dobson, 1-year term to expire 5/3/2019. Inland Wetlands Commission, Barry Locke, Richard F. Hartenstein Jr., John D. Wilson, Kurt Bardasky, 2-year terms to expire 6/13/2020.
The only new one was David Moulton. He had sent in
Yeah.
Look
Oh,
on
it's right here?
Yeah, he sent in a bunch of things like a
Holy cow, he
resume.
did it.
Yeah,
Everything.
he wants to do this.
Who's,
Does he wanna own it?
who's not on, or who left?
I don't know if they're,
I just happen to have.
It's still
Cartier.
Wood? Cartier, right.
Oh,
Oh, that was
that's
still open. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, it looks like he's terrific. So I'll make a motion to accept those appointments.
Sure.
Is that a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. These are photovoltaic fuel cells. Awesome. Okay, so the next one is what I started to talk to you about.
Yep.
There's no decision that was made by the Board of Finance last night as far as the budget.
Really?
What their decision was, is that they're gonna wait until the, May 9th, where the state is supposed to have a budget. They're supposed to have a meeting for their budget, and that's finalized.
They will.
We don't know if they are, but they're gonna wait till after that, because it may
Oh.
release money to our town, and it could affect the bottom line of our budget. So they have decided to wait until after that.
Okay.
So I think on the 15th is, I wanna say their meeting is gonna be on the 14th, their next meeting
Mhm.
will be on the 14th. We have a regular one on the 15th. So then we will hopefully by then have a decision. They don't know what they're doing, they haven't asked for cuts, they haven't asked for anything yet. They don't wanna make any decision at all
Okay.
until, the state, and cross your fingers that the state,
Helps.
well, they make a decision. It's hard to make a decision when they can't make a decision. I actually think it's a good idea for them, to try to put the best budget forward with the best information they can. So I went to the meeting last night and that was their decision.
Yep.
So I just wanted to let you
Yeah,
know,
but
so.
when we send it to a town meeting, it has to be, what, 10 days?
Yeah,
Karen,
it was
so
all
you're-
calculated out, I think if they make their decision on the 14th, then we
Yeah, is it,
talk about it on the
We
15th.
meet on the 15th, we have to do the resolution, removing item 1 from the call to send it to our
Right.
front.
And then it's,
what's the
then
notice? 10?
Then it has to be posted for 10
10
days
days.
prior,
we have to put the full,
but then we gotta have the referendum, right?
Yeah.
it looks like it might be the last week in
And we
May.
could hit July 1st pretty quick.
It's
Chilling into
Fine.
June.
5 days, but you have to add the time frame to get the legal to the paper to have it
Right,
published.
legal
So
has to
It
go.
has to be 5 days after it's published, is the earliest you can have it.
Thinking,
And then it's a week after, you can have the referendum a week after the town meeting.
A week after the town meeting, that brings us,
so it looks
Usually
like it's
June.
like
that
the
brings us to June.
end of
If it-
May. They're talking about the May 30th or,
Can't wait
Is the
much longer
20
than that,
Is it
that's for sure.
26th and 31st or something?
it was, no, the 26th is on a Saturday.
Oh, okay, it was the Thursdays, I think.
Okay, then it might be the
And
31st.
fiscal year ends.
What
The
is it?
24th,
June
or
30th.
the, but I don't know how the 24th could come in, not if we have our meeting to send it to town meeting on the 15th. I don't think that would give us enough
Well, the
time.
24th would be the town meeting.
Right,
the
and then it
referendum
would have to go.
31st, and that
Is
gives,
that a Thursday, the 24th?
The 31st is the
That's just
Thursday.
we have to have a second, if it doesn't,
Well-
yeah, right, if it doesn't pass a referendum, then we have to have a quick second referendum.
Yeah,
Because then you gotta do another town meet, do you have to do another town meeting
Yes,
before you go to another referendum?
of course.
So that's 10 days, 17 days, we're gonna be at June 30th in a
Yeah.
heartbeat.
but that's,
Well, better make it
it
happen.
kind of makes sense to me,
To wait?
what they're talking about. They
Yeah.
feel they want to go in, they spoke to Lisa,
Yep.
and she was the one that recommended it, and
Okay.
they moved forward. So
Doesn't
you have
hurt.
to- It doesn't,
We can't do anything about it.
and everybody in that meantime can cross their fingers
That's it?
and toes. All right,
Okay,
any motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
all right, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.